Today we are gonna make a tutorial about the legendary artist. Under my videos there were really a lot of people asking about a tutorial about him, and especially Berlin Calling album. If you haven't heard about it, it's probably the most iconic movie in techno genre, and it's really pretty fun movie to watch as well. And I thought, we haven't made a real remake for some time now, and as people asking about the Berlin Calling, let's go and do a Sky and Sand remake. But I will first do each element separately and explain the important things about it, and then I will just arrange them the full track and do tiny fixing here and there to get a remake. But I will stop talking now. This will be a really fun tutorial. So let's sit down and do a remake for an iconic techno track. So hop in. The first thing that I would like to do in this one, actually, the toms, because toms are really creating all the kind of melody in the track, and I actually used kind of a similar technique in one of my tracks, Kerfuffle. It sounds like probably like a synthesizer, but that one is made with a tom. Let me put it here. So let's start with the tom. So it starts with like just simple tom hits. That's the first thing that we're going to do. So what I'm going to do, create one MIDI channel. I think he just used 808 mid toms because it sounds like that for me. So what I'm going to do, so let's grab this 808 here, and then the MIDI is like, or the sequence like dum 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 da. So we are going to do that one. I think it was a 1-bar loop, and then what we are going to do to stop before start with, we're going to put a tuner, and then it was just tuned up around like a 4 semitone. So what we are going to do, same thing here, being the 4, and let's put the note here, dum da dum dum da. So this will dum da dum 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 da. I think that was the case. Let's make it a bit bigger so that easier to see. Dum, and then we have to grab the other one. So we're gonna put something here, and then this one will be 1 octave above, so plus 12, which means that this will be 16th. And let's unfold this, dum da dum dum da. If we loop this part, so you can hear a bit more rather than me telling it in my mouth. Okay, this complete other way around. Let's do it lazy way like this. And I think it was a slight detune, so it was not really 100% the note, so we are going to detune it slightly, which means that we can go here and go to control. Here we have the detune, and we're going to detune it slightly. Yeah, I think it was 24, 27, somewhere around here. The trick in this sound is actually first distorting slightly so that you get a bit more distorted sound, and then use the delay effect really creatively. And that is the thing that creates the whole melody in the behind. So what I'm really going to do, first start with an overdrive, drive it a little bit. Somewhere around here, let's distort it. Bring the tone down. And I'm going to put an EQ, so that I don't really get all these guys over here. And let's cut super highs as well. So it's a bit like darker, smoother sound. And then I'm gonna use OTT, again, a bit more creatively. Let's bring, first I'm gonna actually put this down. You can see that it compresses, this tail gets a bit longer. Somewhere around really here, maybe. Just like that. And this enough to start it, so I think there could be also even a bit saturation and so on. We will come back to that when we are doing this fine-tuning stuff. But the important thing here is actually using the delay now. So we're gonna go this slap delay. I'm going to take off the echo and put a simple delay so that you can actually understand how simple that is. What we are going to do, take off the filter, and then this one will be in the 1. And if I just send it to there now, Let's say we get -9 here. This one is continuously. What happens in the original track is when that high note hits, the high pitched tom hits, you don't hear any delay. So it is actually sanding on and off all the time. So when the high note hits here, we're going to turn off the sand and then on again. Let's just write -9 here and then blah blah blah, and then small note hits again, we turn this down and then turn it on again. And if we play right now again, it gets this kind of really nice smooth sound. However, we have to fix that slap delay a little bit. What I'm going to do, put an EQ here, cut a little bit lows, and then cut a bit highs as well. I want this like dark part of the sound. And then we had to also fix kind of a reverb, but the reverb is kind of really dirty. So what I'm going to do, put the reverb first. I already have here, so it's okay. So what we're going to cut a lot of stuff here. Maybe let the highs pass a little bit more, cut a bit lows here. The first thing is decrease the amount of reverb piece here if I play it, so that we can hear the reverb while we are fixing the stuff. And I'm gonna sand a little bit, say, and solo this. What I'm going to do really, decrease the decay time. And then I'm gonna put a tube distortion. No. Tube I would like to have. Let's put it here. And distort it slightly. Drive all the way. Longer release. And then we're going to, of course, put an EQ so that we don't need to really get everything here. We just get a specific area to get the reverb really dark. Let's cut it something like this. And then I'm going to put another saturator. So it's really like a kind of sound design, reverb design. A lot of new reverbs has this type of things already inside it, like you can distort it already. Maybe something like this. And then finally we will probably decrease a little bit. Let's play it together and see how much reverb there is. Yeah, and that's the first one, but there's another tom. So while this one starts in the track, and then like after a minute or so, comes another tom, almost creates the melody. And it's the same idea really. What I'm going to do, just duplicate this like that, and then we can just take the first one, we can delete this, and then we're going to transpose even more. So this 4 will be 19. If you think about it, 4, 12 more is 16, and then 3 more 19. So it is the third note, minor third of the key basically. And if you open this one, it sounded like that dun 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 dun. So basically that means that we're gonna take this and put it here. Dun 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 dun. We can make it a bit smaller so that it's easier to see. Dun 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 dun. So we're gonna duplicate this one more time. Put it here. And if I just hold this one, you can hear a bit more. Yep. The change here is like the sands. Now it looks like this. We're gonna do the same idea, the same concept, but this time we're gonna just sand it here. The rest will be just turned off like this. So in this empty area, we are hearing that like the long tail. And if we play together, you can already immediately hear actually this the core of the sound. Of course, you have to adjust it a bit here and there. There is like a small adjustment to make it exactly fit in the track, like the original one. But this one is more than enough to start with. The only thing that I'm considering really is cutting a little bit here. And then probably fix the delays and so on, reverbs later on. But this is good enough. Once we have done that, the second thing that we should probably do is the bass and the kick. The kick is quite simple. I'm gonna just put a simple kick from my sample pack. It's called Mercury Core. I just released like a couple of days ago. And I think there was a kick there that was quite similar. I think it is this one. It has this kind of dirty beginning. And then let's put that one here as well. And if we don't solo this, of course it's not that long, let's cut that tail. Just like that. And then it had this kind of really nice ding, 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 ding. The bass, like always hitting bass. We have to fix that one now. Let me quickly bring up the notes so that we don't spend too much time writing it down again. And let's copy paste this. And the one thing that we should do now is actually fixing the BPM as well. It is 107.27, so that we actually working on the real BPM. And then let me duplicate this one because the sub is longer. So if you take a look at the sub, it's just like a single note, just actually follows the chord progression. This is the chord progression of the track more or less. And then we are gonna bring a simple serum. This is a quite simple bass sound really. There's not too much things in it. What I'm going to do, we're gonna just take a simple sawtooth like this. There's an easy attack, and then we bring the sustain a little bit down here and decrease the decay, so it is a short decay. And of course we need a bit tail so that we have this nice release at the end of the track. And then let's put a cutoff, drive it a bit, maybe cut off a bit more. If I most of the thing is already there. The missing part is really having this LFO here and then making it really move fast so that it almost kind of vibrates the sound. So you can do it a couple of different ways. I like to put a bit on the cutoff. Let's put a little bit distortion so this will smooth out the sound a little bit as well. And I'm going to put the same LFO here on the level as well. And finally, just to smooth out everything. And then what we are going to do is I change the kick so that when the kick hits, we are ducking. These guys are pretty loud. Let's bring them down a little bit. Just like that. Maybe we can saturate a bit more. And then maybe cut a bit more here and slightly bump up. Yeah, and then we have this sub bass. There's another bass layer actually. It's a bit more sustained and really gives this grumpy feeling in the track, and that's the second thing that we should be doing really. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new MIDI channel and I'm going to bring the serum back again. Let's bring the MIDI first. So if you look at this one, this is basically double bass. You see that here the note changes a little bit, but it's just like the same note all over again, and here just like a twist on it and then does the same thing. The reason is that if you do it this way, you get like a both low and high octave. It's almost like putting two oscillators in two different octaves on top of each other in the synthesizer, almost like the same thing. What we're going to do, this sounds a bit more vintage, so we try to aim for a bit vintage sound. Hence, I'm going to activate both oscillators, put them into the filter, and then we're going to go for this like more vintage sounding oscillators, like basic MIDI sounds fine. I'm just looking for a really sawtooth sound here. And then we are going to just slightly tune this up and slightly tune this down. And if I play it now, in the original track, the sound was a little bit white, so we have to give that stereo feel as well. So I'm going to detune this, put unison on 3 so that we have this. And the same thing over here, I'm going to put this in 7 and then detune slightly less. Let's drive a bit more. And let's go to the FX sides. We're gonna get a distortion over here. Slight chorus. Slight compression. And the final filter. And again, to make the sound a bit like sitting better in the mix, I'm gonna grab another EQ, cut all the lows because we already have a sub bass. Cut also super highs. And if we play together. The one thing is missing, that is the sidechain compression, of course. We have to get this like a little bit pumping effect here. Let's sidechain it. Look ahead, so we start ducking before the kick hits. Now we already made like a 50% of the sound, and I'm not joking. So the only thing that we really miss at the moment is the vocals and then the pads. And the pads are pretty tricky. I think he used the organ sample and then distorted really a lot. Maybe the sample was already distorted with a pedal or something. We're gonna try to really do the same thing, but this is the part where it's really hard to pinpoint exactly the same sound, but we're gonna try to get at least close. Let me put the notes first. To make the sound a bit more like organic, what I'm going to do, just put a vocoder, because this is really going to play a big effect on the sound, and then activate the synthesizer, because I want to see the effect of the vocoder while I'm like fixing the synthesizer. If you have like a dominant effect, like in this case the vocoder, it's better to actually put the effect first and then the synthesizer, and fix the synthesizer afterwards, because then you can really see the effect. So this is exactly what we are going to do. I'm gonna get like a modulator, and then I'm gonna decrease the bands to 12, so something a bit like a less smoother, a bit like a gritty. And then I'm gonna put a bit format down so that it get a bit darker sound, and a slight attack, and then release will be smaller so that I get a bit more snappy envelopes total. And yeah, that's what we going to start with. And then I'm gonna put a serum. The serum part will be quite simple really. I'm gonna go to like the basic shapes and just grab a triangle wave, something like this, and I'm gonna pitch 1 octave up and put a filter. I want to have this really sizzling, simple sound. Let's solo this guy. You can barely hear it. Let's volume up this, like this. And then we're gonna put the 2 in unison, so this will be really phasing a lot. You can barely hear it. The thing that we have to fix the envelopes. I want a really long sustain release. And then we're gonna go to EQ and cut all the lows really. Let's bring the Q down. Yeah, and we are gonna really be putting a little bit of resonance there as well. Anyone should try something like this. I know it doesn't make too much sound. You can probably, like I said, barely hear it, but this is the important part. This sizzling sound really makes the sound. And then to make it maybe a bit easier to hear, let me put a utility here. And we're gonna cut this guy. Just like that. And then I'm gonna group this up because I want to actually layer this one with an organ. And what I'm going to do, just click Ctrl F, organ. I think there is an organ sound already in Ableton's own sampler, or the simpler. I don't even remember which one was. Yes, it was simpler. Pad, modulator, church organ, this guy. And then if I solo this now, let's put that utility to serum so that we are not boosting this guy. You can start to feel this like weird organ sound. It's really cool. And I'm going to bring this down a bit so that I can barely hear that original sound. And here's the part we have to go a bit crazy with the effects. So what I'm going to do with put a glue, just grab this like moving side. So I'm going to not solo this one now. Let's play one more time. Grab the transients. And then I'm going to put an amp, and I'm putting a bass mode. You see that it distorts the sound. And I'm gonna put an EQ. Cut it here. And then finally, I'm gonna put a pedal as well. So I'm really distorting the sound because the original sound was quite distorted as well. We can put another EQ here. If we play together now, and of course we need a sidechain compression, but I think I had here, so we can just activate this guy. And this song doesn't have a hi-hat, so that's an easy thing to solve. The other thing that was in the song is actually clap, and clap was really nice. I think it was layered. We are gonna do something similar really. I'm gonna go to my sample pack again. I think I had a nice clap there. Go to my claps. Got this guy. And then I'm going to carry this over and copy it one time. And the second part, I'm going to reverse it. And I'm going to put it here so that I can use it like a reversed version. So what I'm going to do now, bring this guy in. And then we're going to open this up, move this one up. And this one was slightly before the kick it. So, and then second one here started even earlier. So we will kind of reverse pitching into the clap itself. You can almost hear like a rip sound. Not really that obvious in the original, to be honest, but we're gonna decrease it probably slightly here as well. Let's turn the snap so that we can go a bit freestyle here. Yeah, just like that. It's really subtle, but it is there. And I'm gonna just duplicate this. Control D. Yeah, and then we have this and move it all the way. Yeah, now we have like 70% of the track. The one thing that's missing is just adding the local vocals, and there's one more pad. I don't remember how it was, so I have to go back to the original track and listen one more time. And then just layer the composition so that we can take a look one more time. Let me fix it, come back. So what I did is this was the original corporation we used. Let me show you one more time. And then there was another version where it was more open and it was brighter and so on, so I added that. It sounds like this one more time, let's take a look. It's seriously really beautiful sound. I'm thinking when using this somewhere in my other tracks. And then when you opens up, it gets bigger. But again, the reason it's not only the sound itself, but the chord progression is really beautiful as well. And it's going like this up and down and really long as well. That's the reason. Even the track is very minimal, very repetitive. The chord progression is long so that we don't feel that repetitive at all. And then I added the low pads. This comes like when the second vocal comes in, sounds like this. It is the same things, but I tune it down so that it is darker. Also EQ them slightly different. Together. Really beautiful. And then of course the clap snare, the one thing that I added is another layer, so it sounds like this. So I added this guy. And this one's from the sample pack and a bit like a distortion EQ and so on, just to match the original sound. And we are toms and tom 2, the same thing over here. And then finally the vocals, and really nothing else. There's no effects, nothing. It just starts and ends. And what I'm going to do, start from the beginning, and we will go all the way here and listen to the full version. And I didn't make it like a full track, but it's like repeating the same thing. I thought it's a bit unnecessary, but these are all the elements really. So let's go.
In the nighttime, when the world is at its rest, you will find me in the place I know the best. Dancing, shouting, flying to the moon. Don't have to worry, 'cause I'll be come back soon. And we build a castle in the skies and in the sand. Design a whole world, ain't nobody understand. I found myself alive in the palm of your hand. As long as we are flying, all this world ain't got no end. All this world ain't got no end.
And yeah, that was it. The project file is as usual available on my Patreon if you like to get it there. And sample pack that I shared, it is also available on Mercurial Tones. I will add the link below. And one final thing is, it is your last 5 days if you haven't seen our 4Produce 1 sample video, because we have a giveaway. I will pick the winners in the weekend, I think around Sunday. So it is your last day to join. Also in my Instagram, I will also add my Instagram here. I have another giveaway here. We are giving away Arturia MIDI keyboards, Arturia synthesizers, software synthesizers, vouchers, and so on. There are a lot of things that we are giving away. So if you don't want to miss it, this is your last chance. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something. And I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.